You're watching the 643DP podcast with Derek and Patrick.
For the 643.
The stream is about to begin.
For the 643. For the 643.
Just what the doctor ordered.
For the 643. For the 643.
Get your questions ready. Derek and Patrick will be on in 1 minute.
For the 643.
Just what the doctor ordered.
For the 643. For the 643. For the 643.
The stream will begin in 30 seconds.
For the 643. For the 643.
Just what the doctor ordered.
This is the 643DP podcast with Derek and
For the
Patrick.
643.
The show is about to begin.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the 643DP. As usual, I'm Patrick Hennessy, joined by the man, the myth, the legend. He's usually Derek Lewandowski, but today he's the it factor. How we doing, Derek?
How's it going, man? I'm feeling pretty good.
Kind of scary.
Appreciate that, man. This is for all the clowns out there.
you know who's a clown, actually? All the people a couple weeks ago calling me crazy for one, seeing that the Yankees were going to go on a 20-game win streak because we're almost halfway there at this point. And two, all the people calling me crazy for saying that the Yankees will win the AL East, Derek, because I'm still sticking by that 1,000%. We're going to get into a bunch of stuff today, especially regarding like the Yankees hot streak. But before we get into that, let's take attendance / roll call. You guys know the deal. Let's see who we got in the chat. We got Jesse Dominguez, Matt, Hector, Trick Shot. We got Damian Tarek. We got who else? Jackson. We got Chris, Brendan, Baseball, Antonio Sanchez, Yo Elvis, Not So Family Fun Vision. Appreciate you all for stopping by. I wish I could name everybody, but you know what? I can't. So if I didn't, write me a very strongly worded email, and we'll get back to you at our earliest convenience. But Derek, Yankees are on a 7-game win streak here. How are we feeling about the Yankees lately?
I still think you're out of your mind at 20. I don't. 20 is a long way to go. I mean, imagine what they've done, like how hot they've been, all of the nail biters that could have gone either way over the last week, and now multiply that by 3, basically.
Exactly.
That's a long time.
You gotta have hope.
I'm saying they're gonna win 11 in a row.
I'm going with 21, but that's just me. I mean, Derek, like that's not even me being like a delusional optimist at this point. This team is unstoppable. And then, like all things considered, they're gonna have an off day on Sunday because like New York is getting hit by a hurricane. So like I'm doubting that they're even gonna play Sunday. So therefore, you take these next two against the Twins, essentially a 3-game sweep. I don't know when they're gonna make up that Sunday game. Who really cares, to be honest with you? And then I believe Monday they go to Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken.
Monday in Atlanta for 2, and then they're out to Oakland for 4. I have a hard time believing they're going to
get... The West Coast trip is going to be tough. I'll tell you.
I have a hard time believing they're going to get through a West Coast trip unscathed. I mean, Oakland's going to get you for at least 1. And then, L.A., the Angels in Anaheim typically are kind of a problem for the Yankees. So I think they're going to get 1 there. I mean, I can see the Yankees going what? Like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I can see the Yankees going 10-2 over the next 12 games. I'd take that. I'd sign up for that right now.
No, I would too, but I want 21 straight. Like that's all I want. But listen, Wampag Doodle makes a solid point here. Why not just schedule a doubleheader tomorrow? I don't think like this has ever happened. Not that I remember. Like where rain is being anticipated for one day, so then the day before they do a doubleheader. That's something I've never heard of before.
They don't. You can't do that to season ticket holders. Like it's one thing to rain something out because that's like kind of built into it, but to entirely change it up because people have travel plans. I mean, what if somebody's scheduled to fly in on Saturday night and you change it to like a Saturday afternoon game. You just can't do that. So it's
No,
just
yeah.
logistically
It would make
impossible.
sense, but unfortunately, like, they can't do it. Listen, as far as like the Yankees' last 7 games go, Derek, after the Field of Nightmares game, like, I know personally, I was just morally like just dead inside, right? And the Yankees haven't lost a game since then. Like, after what happened in Iowa, also, who lives in Iowa? I don't know. But also, like, bro, after what happened there, I'm kind of looking at this team and I'm like, how many more of these demoralizing losses can we take? And then they go to Chicago, they take 2 out of 3 from them. And then it just seems like they really haven't looked back from there. And I think it's kind of just shown that, like, this team can only get better. And I think that's why I'm so optimistic as far as they go, because we're still without Glaber. We're still without Gio. Britton's still not at like full capacity. Chapman's still not at full capacity. So I think while the Yankees are exceptional right now, I'm looking at them, and the reason I'm so optimistic going into September is because I could only see them getting better from here.
Well, I do think they're going to get better, but having these guys, these young guys, the Velasquez's, the Anthony Davis's running balls down, the Greg Allen's coming up. That's been a big part of the energy that this team has found during this win streak. And I wonder if you put Glaber and you put Gio back in there, if the team loses a little bit of that energy. I'm not saying they will, but it might feel like a slightly different team because neither one of those guys are going to steal bases. I think it might feel a little bit different. I'm not 100%.
So you think it's going to be like a 2019 thing when like all the guys come back and then the team doesn't really like feel the same anymore?
Yeah, I think it might be. I'm just loving what these young guys. Good thing is the rosters are expanding, so you don't necessarily have to lose these guys.
Yeah.
You could keep the Velasquez's on the roster. I think you want him on the roster because he can switch hit, he can play the infield, and then I think they would want somebody like a Greg Allen on the roster too because he can come in and pinch run, swipe you a bag. He also hits from both sides. He can play defense, but just the way this team has responded to this influx of energy has been really encouraging. And I mean, just call me cautious that, when you put the team back into, older guys, that you might not lose some of that energy.
I get it, but also at the same time, it's like, we can't like sit here and act like Gio Urshela coming back isn't an upgrade over seeing like Andrew Velasquez. Because listen, as much as I love Andrew Velasquez on the Yankees, I actually posted a video about this today. And like, I love Andrew Velasquez, obviously. Like, I love the spark that he brings. I love the speed that he brings, the defense. But I think also, like, we can't sit here and say that, like, Gio Urshela wouldn't be an upgrade. Or, like,
right.
But also, I also can't sit here and say, like, Gleyber Torres would be an intense upgrade. Because I don't know about you, but I'm not necessarily, like, looking forward to Gleyber Torres coming back as if this was, like, 2019. Just because we haven't really seen any sort of production out of him since 2020. And it's come to a point where, like, we're getting more production out of Andrew Velasquez and Tyler Wade this season than we have out of Gleyber Torres.
So on the Gio thing, he's definitely, an upgrade to the lineup. His defense alone is, but the point I'm making is not statistical. It's not like obviously, if you look at these numbers in a vacuum between Gio Urshela and anyone else, you look at Gleyber in a vacuum versus Andrew Velasquez, maybe not as much because Velasquez has been playing pretty well, but the numbers tell a different story than is what's being told in front of our eyes. There's a certain je ne sais quoi that this team has right now, a certain energy that we just haven't seen. And I'm not anti Gleyber or anti Gio. I just let them take another couple of days. Like, let them get real, let's ride this horse until she bucks us,
I haven't heard that one before. No, I get it 1,000%. And it's more so just like a team chemistry kind of thing. But I think that, like, it seems like this happens with the Yankees all the time. Not all the time. It happened in 2019. It also happened last year where it's like the replacements seem to be playing pretty decently. And then the starters come back and we're like, do we actually want the starters back at this point? But I think like there's no doubt you need to insert Gio Urshela into that lineup. I'm more so concerned like what the Yankees are going to end up doing as far as like postseason time comes and how they're going to like structure that roster. Because like I said, Andrew Velasquez is like lighting the world on fire now. And it just sucks that like you have Tyler Wade who's on top of him, right? And assuming that the Yankees are going to go into a postseason with, let's say, a 4-man bench and you have 13 position players, 13 pitchers, I'm assuming 3 automatic bench spots go to Odor, Gardner, and Higgy. that's you 3 guys on the bench right there. So then that last bench spot, I'm assuming would have to go to Tyler Wade over Velasquez. As much as we love him and as much as he's been playing like out of his mind lately, I just don't necessarily see a fit for him once the postseason comes.
Yeah, I think right now Wade would probably make that final bench spot. And if that's our biggest problem, then I'm fine with it, because ideally he's not going to get any time in the playoffs anyway. I mean, let's look at the, games last year. How often did the bench really factor in? We didn't lose because of our last bench spot. We lost because we didn't hit with runners in scoring position, which to be fair,
also like Mike Ford was in there in a big spot.
Well, I would say that I'm confident in the lineup this year. I think our roster will be fine if they're playing as they are right now. I still worry a little bit about a couple of things. I worry about the hitting with runners in scoring position. It's still been an issue. The Yankees have scored more runs recently. They got 7 yesterday. They got 5 on Tuesday. They got 8 and 7 against the one of those was the White Sox game in the cornfield. And the next day it was in Chicago. They had 8 prior to that against Kansas City. So, beginning of the year, we weren't seeing a lot of 8s and 7s. So that's promising that since they've gotten Gallo and Rizzo, you're seeing the offense uptick. And the Yankees have won a lot of close games, but the bullpen has been a little shaky. Like,
for sure.
If the Yankees are up by 1 going into the bottom of the 9th against Chicago or Tampa Bay on the road in the playoffs, I mean, are you really going to feel comfortable with any of the following? Britton, Chapman, or Green? I mean, let's say you have to use Loaizaga for the 7th or the 8th. Do you really feel comfortable with any of those 3 guys in that situation? Because I don't.
No, I don't know. And it's so funny because I had this same exact discussion with Dan yesterday. I mentioned those same 3 guys. And I'm like, if we're going into a late game situation in a postseason game, especially like 1 run against the Rays or something in Tropicana Field, I'm not confident in any of those 3 guys. Now, obviously, they could pitch out of their minds over the next month and kind of build back that trust. But I think as of right now, I say this like in full confidence. I have more faith in a trio of Wandy Peralta, Clay Holmes, and Jonathan Loaizaga over Chapman, Britton, Green. That's basically how I'm looking at it. Bro, you could even put in like Albert Abreu in that situation because that's who I mentioned last night. I'm starting to earn some trust in Albert Abreu, especially over a guy like Aroldis Chapman or Chad Green, just because they haven't provided us with any sort of track record this season of being consistent. You know what I mean?
I'm going to tell you somebody who might be the odd man out that nobody's really mentioning is Lucas Litki.
Sure.
He's been pretty bad lately, and he hadn't pitched in a long time before the season. To me, he's lost a lot of zip on the fastball. His breaking ball is not as sharp. I'm seeing a lot of lazy breaking balls. You can't have that in the playoffs. He hasn't been pitching much lately. I think they're trying to rest him up, and I think they'll use him more in September, trying to get him, like back into the groove. But if he's not throwing the ball well at the end of September or at the end of the month of September, they're going to sit him down and they're going to let other guys take a shot. You're going to see Steven Ridings get a shot. You're going to see Albert Abreu get an audition. I think Abreu right now is automatically on that roster for the postseason because he's been throwing well. But it would be interesting to see, what happens. Even somebody who comes up late like Clark Schmidt, what if Clark Schmidt comes up and does well out of the bullpen? What if Domingo Germán is lights out of the bullpen? That's something. How about Luis Severino? There's a lot of things over the next 6 weeks that could factor in, but I think Justin says Litki is a gym teacher. That's a good one. I think you might see Litki pitch his way out of the playoffs, and we might see some other guys step up just because the bullpen has been so iffy. The Yankees are going to give guys shots.
No, for sure. And also, I mean, we're talking about like Litki. Like his role is primarily like that left-handed long man. Really, right? So, I mean, one guy, call me crazy, but I could kind of see taking that spot in the postseason bullpen is Andrew Heaney. Especially based on what we saw in his last start against the Red Sox. I could see them putting him in the bullpen, and he could be like a long man lefty out of the bullpen. Maybe like a role that Jaime Garcia played for the Yankees in 2018 in the postseason. I could definitely see it happening.
No, not a chance. Gives up too many home runs. Not a chance. No chance.
I think that there's a shot. If he continues pitching well, I don't see a scenario where they leave him off the playoff roster.
I do because I mean you're going to have more arms available. You could have a Corey Kluber. You're going to have a number of guys who can give you innings, especially for maybe in a 7-game series. Maybe they would have them in case you need, length twice in a series, but in a 5-game short series, you want power arms and as many of them as you can get. I just don't see Haney being a part of either the wild card round or the division series round. Maybe the ALCS, maybe the World Series.
If he keeps it up, there's no way they leave him off. There's just not. Like, especially like if he gives like
keeps
the
it up.
Yankees,
He had one good start. He's been dog shit.
But if he keeps that up, if he keeps this up over his next 3 starts, you're not leaving him off the roster. You're just not.
Well, I mean, what are the odds he's going to keep it up over the next? He's got what, 5.7 ERA.
That's okay. He might pitch out of his mind in September.
He owns Boston, and I think the Yankees got him with that in mind. They might need to pitch against Boston, and he executed that game. But I think there's almost zero chance he's going to pitch that well. And frankly, I think he's going to be out of a spot in that rotation pretty soon.
Oh no, he's going to be out of the rotation for sure. Like especially once Kluber comes back.
Yeah, I don't think Haney is a factor. He's not a factor in the post. I mean,
shout out to you, Haney. I don't hate you.
I don't hate him either. I'm sure he's a nice guy. But the fact is, he just gives up way too many goddamn home runs, which you cannot have. Yeah,
I get it. I'm just not going to dismiss him just yet. I like the dude. But listen, shout out to Jesus Chavez with the $5 dono. Appreciate you so much, Jesus. You're a legend. Bro, I don't know why the sticker doesn't show in here. It bothers me a little bit.
Here.
But I'm pretty sure it's a hippo. I'm pretty sure it's like the unhinged hippo. Yes, it's the unhinged hype hippo. That's what I'm talking about. Appreciate you so much, Jesus. You're an absolute legend. But I mean, listen, we're kind of talking about like the current state of the Yankees pitching, whatever. We got some news regarding Luis Severino. I guess good news for once. There's no structural damage, but I believe he's still shut down for the next week or so, and then they're kind of going to reevaluate him. Do you think we still see him this season or no?
Yeah, I think we're going to see him out of the bullpen as long as he doesn't hurt himself again. Yeah. And knowing that there's no structural damage is going to make him power through it a little bit next time when he's feeling a little iffy. When you don't pitch for a while, sometimes your shoulder can get a little cranky when you fire it back up. And, this guy who hasn't pitched much in the last few years, it does not surprise me that throwing a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, which generates an unbelievable amount of stress on your shoulder. I mean, medically, I don't care how good and how often you do it. It's really tough to throw 100 miles an hour on your body.
Sure.
And the fact that he's a little cranky doesn't surprise me, but just knowing that he doesn't have any structural damage will allow him next time that he's warming up and he's like, all right, I feel feels a little mental, not right. Yeah. Just mentally, he'll be like, all right, well, there's nothing wrong in there. Doctor said there's nothing wrong. I'm just going to power through it. And then you get a little bit of success. You see the 98 on the gun or whatever, and you power through it. But I think time has run out for him as a starter this year. David Cohen was 100% right last night when he was talking about that. I think we're going to see him come up out of the bullpen. And honestly, that might be the best thing for this team. I mean, imagine Luis Severino throws 100 miles an hour with a nasty slider. He could be lights out. I don't have his bullpen stats in front of me, but there was a time a couple of years ago when he pitched out of the bullpen and he was insane.
I think it was 2016.
Yeah, it's been a while, but he's only become better at pitching since then, even though he hasn't pitched much the last couple of years. He knows more. Scouting reports have gotten better. He can execute a lot better, hopefully, than he could back then in terms of, the game plan and hitting his spots. I trust him out of the bullpen if he's healthy to be a nasty weapon for the Yanks.
Yeah, and that's also like why when we were kind of like discussing the Yankees bullpen going into the playoffs and like how we were kind of iffy about it, that's why I'm not too concerned. And that's why like I'm starting to realize now why the Yankees didn't go out and acquire a reliever at the deadline is because they have so many starters that they could just throw into the bullpen in the playoffs. Because I hate to like throw out these hypotheticals in like the end of August here, but going into a playoff scenario, assuming Corey Kluber's healthy, my 4-man rotation is Cole, Tyone, Monty, Kluber. And then that gives you the opportunity to have Sevy in the bullpen, Nestor in the bullpen, Herman in the bullpen, potentially Heaney in the bullpen. I don't even like it. But like,
Heel in the bullpen.
You could have Heel in the bullpen.
He throws a 99
so many options. There's so many options. And that's why I'm kind of looking at the Yankees bullpen. And I'm like, you know what? We could definitely see guys like Herman and Nestor and Sevy in these high leverage situations in the postseason. That could be in like the 4th or 5th inning. Say Kluber only gives you 3 or 4 innings. That's why I'm not too concerned about the bullpen going into September and further on.
I'm really psyched about Corey Kluber because he was really pitching well right before he threw the no-hitter, but before that, he had like an 8-inning of shutout baseball kind of game with like 10 strikeouts and maybe 1 walk. Now that was during the sticky substance era, but there's no evidence that he was using that. He might have been. But if he comes back and shows a glimmer of that, the Yankees playoff odds are going to go through the roof. I mean,
Oh, for sure.
imagine Garrett Cole and then a healthy Corey Kluber who's pitching like that, and then Monty, and then Tyone, and then Tyone, and then Monty. I mean, and Tyone last night until the 6th inning, that's as good as I've seen him. That
For
breaking
sure.
ball was freaking disgusting. I'm feeling really good about the Yankees starting rotation. I'm a little less optimistic about the bullpen, but we'll see how Herman and Sevy factor in. I think Steven Ridings is kind of a dark horse. He's going to be back up when the rosters expand. You get what, 3 extra men, or is it 2 extra men, something like that on the roster each game.
Something like that.
So they're going to carry an extra arm, and he's going to get some opportunities. And if he pitches well, I mean, that's the stable full of guys throwing 100. Him or Abreu and Loizaga and Green. I mean, that's a lot of bullpen arms. There's a couple of things that are still going to, I need to see it to believe it. I need to see them hit more with runners in scoring position in the playoffs for me to believe it. I need to see some power come back from DJ.
Sure. But also,
and
like,
Gleyber.
I'm kind of looking at this lineup, like, as currently constructed on paper. And once again, talking about this last night, I truly believe that this is like the best team of the Baby Bombers era. And bro, I can't deny it by saying that. I'm looking at this lineup. It's easily the best. For sure. I don't think that there's any denying that. The only thing that you could knock this team for is the bullpen. And when you say that, it's like, well, I'm throwing all these good starters in the bullpen, and I think that improves it a bunch. The rotation is better in years past. The lineup is better in years past. I think the bench is just about the same, if not better, because Tyler Wade is a much better player now. So yeah, I truly think that this is the best team of the Baby Bombers era.
I don't know if I want to comment on that because I haven't looked at the numbers that much from the last few years. The 2007,
obviously the numbers in 2019 were ridiculous, but also, I mean, juice balls and that team overachieved so much.
You have to factor in the margin there that, like, the baseballs added all those extra home runs. I think that 2017 team was one. I mean, like we said before, there's a certain energy that is not read out it's not on Baseball Reference. It's not something that you can quantify. And that whole thumbs down thing, the energy that DD and Frazier on the same team, what's his name? The third baseman, Todd Frazier.
Yeah.
And Joe Girardi at the helm, just his freaking ice in his veins. That was a fun Judge coming off 52 home runs, walking around with the most swagger I've ever seen out of any player ever, other than maybe Barry Bonds at the height of his, Judge. Just nobody wanted anything to do with Aaron Judge that year. They want no part of pitching to him. And then he goes deep in the wild card. I mean, that was such a great team. I get great memories just thinking about it. It would be interesting to see that team versus this current team, because this current team has better pitching.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Obviously, like, that team had a better bullpen too, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you give and take, because I think this team's lineup towers over that 2017 lineup for sure. But mentality-wise, it's obviously a little bit different.
Had an idea, and I wanted to run this by you because I hadn't talked to any fans about it. I was working on a project, and I noticed that Justin Verlander, even though he's been injured for a while, is going to be a free agent at the end of the year. Do you think the Yankees could do like a Kluber type of special with him where they sign him? I could see that
1000%.
happening. Like, because Kate Upton likes New York. She lives in New York. Like, he could go to the Yankees or the Mets. And I would think he would probably go to the Yankees next year.
Now, obviously, like, this is an interesting topic that obviously we'll discuss, like, a lot in the offseason. But, like, as of right now, do I think it would make sense for the Yankees? Yeah, 100%. Like, give him like a Kluber kind of like one year deal here. But honestly, I truly think that the Yankees aren't going to be the only team giving him that offer. And I think if it comes down to it, he'll probably just go back to Houston. I don't know why. He just seems really comfortable there. I could see him going back on like a 2-year deal probably.
We got like 5-6 minutes left. Ramon Vlogs had a good idea. Why don't we compare the lineups from 2017 versus 2021? Like,
we could.
So let's just do it off the top of our head, because like 2017 Gary was better than 2021 Gary. I don't think there's an argument there. But Rizzo is better than Bird, I think. Even though Bird was hot in the playoffs. Who did we have? Was it Starlin Castro
It was
playing second
Starlin.
base?
Yeah, I would say
So
DJ's better than Starlin.
DJ's better than Starlin, although Starlin had that clutch gene that year. Who was the shortstop
Not
that
in the
year? Was it
playoffs,
Didi?
though.
Yeah, it's true. He stunk in the playoffs. Didi was the shortstop. I would
Didi's
take
over
I would
Glaber.
take
Yeah.
Didi over Glaber for sure. Third baseman Frazier versus Gio. I feel like that's a push because Frazier was really good with the Yankees, and he was good defensively too. But Gio's probably a little bit better offensively.
I would say Gio by far. Like, no
Really?
joke. I know, like, Todd Frazier provided the Yankees with a spark, but I don't know, like, numbers-wise, if he was even that good.
He hit like 25 homers that year, and he I don't think he hit for a high average. He hit like 220 something.
Yeah, he had like a 788 OPS. Like, he was
What's
average.
what's Gio's OPS this year? Hang on. Hang on. I'll pull
Probably
up the
about the same
2020.
sample size, honestly.
So
He is a
Gio's
754.
754.
Yeah.
So Frazier's we got to give Frazier the slight edge because he was also really good defensively too.
You think he's better than Gio defensively, though?
No. But I think that they're, if you dig into the numbers, they're the 2017 Frazier versus the Gio now are pretty similar. Frazier was really good.
Give Gio the edge. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a push, but I could take either one of them. Left field. So Baseball Reference has our main left fielder this year as Andujar, but really we got to compare it to Gallo because Gallo is, and Gallo's, I think, who was playing left field for the Yanks in 2017? Was it
Gardner?
I think it was Gardner. You got the thing up, right?
I don't have I should look up like the Yankees 2017 like ALCS Game 1 lineup. Who was the Yankees left fielder?
I'm gonna pull it up. Hang on.
Okay, Gardner was in left, Hicks was in center, Judge was in right. Yeah, so it was Gardner in left.
So
Gallo over Gardner.
Gallo over Gardner, and then Hicks over Gardner. So Gardner loses both battles.
See, but that's where I kind of disagree here, only because, bro, like I have Judge in center field. Going into postseason, I think Judge is my center fielder.
So Judge center and Stanton in right.
Yeah, and then Voit DHing.
Who was the DH on that team? Was it
Holiday? Yeah, it was Holiday.
He was hurt for the postseason.
He played ALCS Game 1.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I actually don't remember that, but he did.
They also had McCutcheon on that team.
No, that was 2018.
That was 20. Okay, I'm on the wrong year.
Yeah.
That's what I did. I clicked forward a year. So they had that team had Ellsbury. Oh my God. Forgot about Ellsbury. Yeah, you might be right. The 2017 lineup was good, but the 2021 lineup could potentially be better. Not going to hit as many home runs.
No, I mean, you compare this to like any of the Yankees line. Like we can even look at 2019. Like I still think that this team on paper is much better.
Yeah.
It's just because I think once you insert like Anthony Rizzo and Joey Gallo in there, it just makes everything so much different. And now the fact that like going into a postseason series, just like I said, I'm putting Judge in center, Stanton in right, and then you're able to DH Voit. Bro, that's an unstoppable. You have like Glaber Torres as your 9-hitter. Gio's probably going to be bad in like 8 or Gary. Like it's just 1 through 9 unstoppable hitters. That's all I'm saying.
We need Glaber to get hot. Like we need him. We need 10 home runs in September from Glaber just so that the league knows he can do it going into the playoffs. You know what I mean?
Fair.
Like what if he finds it? That would really turn the tables on this season.
Fair.
Man.
I want to bring up this dono here from Armando. Shout out to Armando with $5 dono. Appreciate you so much, my man. He says, only 7 teams have won 20 straight regular season games in history. The Yanks straight wins 19-19-47, 18-53, 16-26, 15-60, and 15-06. Well, you know what? So I guess the Yankees have never done it then because they only won 19 in 1947. Wow, we're gonna make history, Derek. 13 more.
So me and my buddy Rob, whenever we make a bet, we bet a bottle of champagne. Are you old enough to have a bottle of champagne?
Yeah, I'm 21.
All right. We'll make a bet. Bottle of champagne if they win.
Well, wait a minute.
If they win 20 straight, I will buy you a bottle of champagne and have it delivered to your house. If they don't, Dr. Pepper. Send me a Dr. Pepper via DoorDash. I think that's
okay.
Fair.
If they don't, I'll send you an unhinged shirt.
There we go.
Dr. Pepper. There we go.
Fair enough.
Because, bro, I'm so confident in this. Like, for no reason. Like, I'm looking at this Yankees team. They're going to win 20 straight. But listen, before we
Can we talk about this jersey thing? This question from Borg, because I just read
for
about
sure.
that. The city skyline jerseys. Have you heard about this thing?
I saw Dan Federico actually posted about it today. Apparently the Yankees were like very hesitant to do like the City Connect jerseys, but now they're like fully on board with it. So I'm actually excited.
They're switching jerseys. So apparently the initial jerseys, they didn't like the design.
Yeah.
Because they tend to use the team's alternate color. So I feel like they were navy blue, and for some reason the Yankees don't like to wear the navy blue at home, right? So they probably just had them, but all the jerseys have pinnies. They all have the pinstripes. So I feel like they probably just did like a take on the Yankees white jerseys. I feel like that's the alternate that they're going with. But I want to see it. But like, I like the navy blue personally. I think that
Derek,
I think they're
how
fantastic.
you know where I stand. Like I want the navy blues as like a road alternate. Like I like especially the ones that they wear in spring training. I love them. Now I'm a little bit optimistic as far as the City Connect jerseys go, just because like if the Yankees were hesitant at first, like now I'm just led to believe that they have like a solid concept in mind. I just hope that they're not like they don't look like they're from like 1904. You know what I mean? Like I want something that looks a little bit more new school.
Well, here's the thing: is that when you go see the Yankees in the Bronx, you expect the white pinstripes. I mean, that's just how it is. And I think that's something they were hesitant to change, because most of these teams, like the Marlins, they wore the red. And I feel like the initial design that was given to them by Major League Baseball was probably some kind of navy jersey. And the Yankees, I think, just don't want to go navy at home during the regular season or the playoffs, because I mean, imagine you're a little kid showing up at Yankee Stadium for the first time, excited to see the Yankees in their white pinstripe jersey with the beautiful Nike logo on it. And instead you get this new school thing.
But
Which
also, at that point,
people,
I'd be like, "Suck it up, little kid.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
Just go a different day." Like,
I know. But I would prefer that the Yankees keep the white pinstripes for every home game, personally.
Sure, but like my thing is though, like I'm not like really like a nostalgic person whatsoever when it comes to this stuff. So it's like if you want to like throw out that jersey like 3 or 4 times a season, that's okay with me. Like I'm not gonna like lose sleep over it, you know what I mean? But listen, Derek, before we wrap things up, I guess we could discuss tonight's game a little bit. Nestor Cortez is on the mound. Do you think that the Yankees are gonna extend that win streak to 8 straight tonight?
Oh, I think they're going to 11. I think that's my.
So easy win tonight then.
Yeah, I think they're going to get through early next week, and then somebody's going to have a bad bullpen game, or the offense is going to have an off night. I still think Marcus Timms is absolute dog shit. Hey, he is what it, the team sucked for most of the year. And when we added the new life with the guys who haven't been working with Marcus Timms, what do you say? We started winning. So I think they're going to get to like 11 wins. A double-digit win streak feels good, but 20 is a little bit tough. But I do think they're going to win tonight. And Nestor's been pitching outstanding. I mean, he's got a 2.55 ERA. He's got a whip of like 1.095. So, the only question is how deep can he go into the game? He typically gives you 5 innings or something like that. So tonight might be a night where we rely on like 2 innings out of Johnny Lasagna, something like that.
Yeah, it's going to be, I mean, listen, I'm like so confident going into all these games against the Twins just because, they're the Twins, like we dominate them whenever. But I don't know, just something feels a little bit different about this team lately in the sense where like I'm excited to watch every single night again. Like it got to a point where Derek, you know this more than anyone. Like I wasn't looking forward to watching this team every night. I was coming on the pre-games. I was like, look, chat, like if you guys have something better to do, if you have something to do on the side and then watch the game, like if you guys have like a little side hustle, do that and then keep up with the game. Don't like waste 3 hours of your night to go sit down and watch them. But now every single night is a must-watch game for the New York Yankees.
Dude, that game, you remember that game against the Washington Nationals where Juan Soto went deep? They lost like 10-2 or something like that. They got absolutely mauled. It was at Yankee Stadium, and they just got absolutely, it was this year. They got absolutely murdered earlier this year. I'm going to give you I could give you the precise date probably, but they got completely clobbered. Somebody will have it. Let's see. Anyway, that was the low point in the season for me. That night, I didn't do a recap. Like I was putting together a desk or whatever. And I remember I tripped and fell through my coffee table and broke my coffee table. And the Yankees got beat like 10-0. And I thought about just like leaving the country. I was like, I'm embarrassed to be associated with the Yankees at this point. I was going to go put on a fake mustache and drive for the border. But since then, some ups and downs. A lot of downs with the offense, the couple of blown leads, the 3 out of 4 in Boston was tough. But I think finally There's light at the end of the tunnel. The team can go righty-lefty throughout. We got a good pitching staff. Boston has faded. Tampa Bay is next to fade.
They're playing ridiculous for no
reason. They're
Like,
playing great, but we got to fuck them up when we go to Tampa. And on that, I think the Yanks actually do have a shot at the division, man.
Let's go, Derek. Hop on the train. I got my post-it right here. I wrote it on July 31st, 2021. It says Yankees 2021 AL East champs. Derek, I've been telling you for so long, and you've just been like, Pat, you're stupid. There's no shot.
I've been cautiously optimistic, man. I think they got 93, 94 wins coming at least. 23 out of the next 40 seems very reasonable for this team. And I could see him getting 28 out of 40. That would give him 98 wins. I think that gets it done.
Yeah, and also you have to keep this in mind here. The Yankees' final 3 games of the season are against those Tampa Bay Rays. So all you have to do is stay within 2 to 3 games, preferably under 3, so then you could sweep and then have the division out, play a tiebreaker. But bro, you just have to stay within the race up until the final games of the season, and then everything is in your hands. This is what I've been trying to say this whole time.
Dude, if they finish off a sweep in Tampa Bay to win the division and send Tampa Bay through the wild card round,
I think they might be home.
They might. Are they home? I thought they were on the road. If it's at home, even better.
No, if it's at home, that's huge. They're home. Yeah,
they're home. Okay, so they go to Boston, Toronto, and then they come home for 3. I thought it was a season-ending road trip. That's weird to come back for 3. Oh my God, 3:05 on October 3rd. What are you doing, Pat? I think we should have a watch party if it's tied up.
No, I think we might have to. Derek, dude, that will be the watch party of the century.
The 643 DP watch party.
It's either going to be the biggest celebration of all time or the biggest funeral of all time. I don't want to have to play a tiebreaker game. I really don't. And then also in the sense of that, you might have to waste your top 2 starters. One, you'd have to waste Cole in the tiebreaker. And if you don't win the tiebreaker, you waste Tyone in the wild card game. Let's just not even get into that because the Yankees.
Good thing we got Kluber coming back. We got a third ace, baby.
That's true. But yeah, I mean, Derek, I usually I think it was a few weeks ago, I told everyone in the chat, press 1 if you're with me on this division movement. You weren't in on the division movement, but it's okay. We're going to accept you now in the Yankees division train. So we're going full throttle. We're making no stops. I'm just letting you know, this is a direct flight here to the division.
Conrad says way too many hypotheticals. I agree. We're still far out, but I mean, this is a talk show. I mean, what do you want to say? Yeah. Spit cold hard facts. We got 6 weeks to go, 5 weeks. Let's just have fun and enjoy the ride. It's going to be a fun 5 weeks.
It's not even hypothetical because the Yankees are winning the AL East. I keep telling you guys this. It's a fact. But that is going to wrap things up for today's episode of the 643 DP. I'm Patrick Hennessy. That's Derek Lewandowski. Listen, if you guys aren't subscribed to Derek MYY Recaps, go do it now, bro. Best production content in the game. You guys know the deal. I will be live after the game tonight for the post game. So will Derek. Actually, I go live kind of directly after him. But you guys know the deal. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications for more. We're going live before and after every single Yankees game this season, and we're going live for 643 DP usually every Wednesday before the Yankee game. So stay tuned for all that content. You guys know the deal. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe. We'll see you all next time. Let's go Yankees. Peace.